would go to him with some of the things that you were going through, or did you guys kind of not have as much communication once you got to Springfield?
No, we communicated. We still do. It's more spotty than not. But no, I have a great support system. I really do. I had my father, who was great, my sister, who's great, my partner, Airey, who's just the best, But the problem was, it was with me, and there's nothing. I have a hard time talking to people because I know what the issue is, but I have to figure shit out myself. So somebody could tell me, hey, everything is going to be okay. You're going to do just fine. Just don't fucking tell me something I already know. I don't want to hear it because that's going to make me more mad, and that's going to sink me further down into whatever it is I'm in. What I need to do is kind of step outside of myself and assess the situation and figure out how to deal with shit on my own. So I really didn't reach out to anybody, and I still don't, man. I still don't. But I know that I need to do something. I need to do something to change it. Graduate school that helped me do that. It helped me realize that, man, I really have to work on myself, and it's crazy. But I didn't reach out to him, no, man. I really don't reach out to anybody when I'm going through shit. I just kind of suffer in silence, and I don't recommend that at all, at all.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's awful, man. It really is. It's awful. But I'm as I mature, right, as we were talking about before, the logical progression in life is to mature and to make better decisions about one's health. And I started talking to somebody a few months ago, and it's been helping. And I talk about things with Airey more, and it helps out an awful lot. And you can't be too proud. You can't be too proud. Sometimes you need help, and that's why your friends and your family are there. They're there to help. Talk about shit, iron shit out.
Yeah, hell yeah. When you took that year off and you were asked to teach, before you taught, had you thought of being a college professor? Was that something that came up?
Yeah, no, that was. Yeah, great question. Sorry to cut you off, but that was the end goal, man. You listen, when you're mired in self-doubt and you're just, you're plagued with these neuroses, like you forget the end goal, man. You forget shit. You're so stuck in the moment. You're so fixated on all this negative shit that you forget why you're there. You forget why you're doing things. And it's the same thing like when we were talking about Jiu Jitsu. Like, people are focused on belts. Motherfucker, you're a white belt. What are you thinking about a blue belt for? This is a fucking journey. Never forget, that this is a journey, and the purpose of this journey is X, Y, and Z. Because the second you forget that shit, you just start you focus on things that you don't need to focus on. And you just get lost, man. You get lost. And then all of a sudden your journey, which should have been a straight shot, is now this really long, arduous, circuitous path to your goal. And that's just because you forgot. I forgot why I went to graduate school. I wanted to be a professor. And it was the year off and then getting that experience that reminded me. And I kind of had to sit back and be like, shit, this is why. Now this is what I got to do. So, yeah, man, I just forgot.
And in forgetting that, after being reminded of it, would you say that going through the doctoral program was easier than getting your master's because you had that reminder, or was that just as much of it?
1,000%, Rich, 1,000%. Arguably the workload was way more as a doctoral student. My responsibilities were way more, but it was so much easier because again, when I went back, I'm like, I kind of reassessed my master's degree. I'm like, what did I do? Okay, I did X, Y, and Z. Instead of doing X, Y, and Z, I'm going to do A, B, and C. And then I just tailored I tailored everything as I went. But it's all about being regimented and exercising prudence as well. You know what I mean? So I would write so if I had papers due at the end of the semester, like 20-page papers. I would start writing those papers at the beginning of the semester. You know, it was just about, like, being more disciplined. You know when they say, like, discipline equals freedom? That shit is fucking true, too, man. That shit is true, too. Discipline does equal freedom. And I'll be the first one to say that I don't particularly care for Jocko or his podcast or any of that shit.
But have you seen him with the shirt off?
Yeah. No, man. I don't buy into the whole like the fitness guru, the the motivational speaker shit. I hate that shit. I absolutely hate that shit. Airey Brothers, hear me. I hate it. I think Goggins is great.
Oh, really?
I think he's great, man. I think he's great, but I just can't stand, like, every video of him saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. I can't stand other people sharing that video. I can't stand other people acting as though they're some sort of, like, motivational guru. I can't stand that shit. That shit frustrates the hell out of me. You know what I mean? It frustrates the hell out of me. Like, I don't know. But I'll leave that as. But discipline does equal freedom, man. You could do what you want to do as long as you're disciplined enough to do it. You know, it's crazy. But yeah, man, my PhD was much easier. It was much more fun as well. You know what I mean? Much more fun. I didn't, because I wasn't worrying about getting, like, great grades. I just worried about learning. You know, I remembered why I was there. I love physiology. You know, I'm competent. I'm able. So as long as I just have fun and keep being inquisitive, I'll do just fine. And I did. I really did.
You said your undergrad was relatively easy, only had to really study for an hour or two, and you could ace the test. Would you say you really didn't become a student or as strong a student as you were at the end till you got to graduate school?
100%. I didn't become a student. I wasn't like a proper student until I went back to get my PhD, man. You know, that's just the truth. Like, I did everything I had to do. You know, I woke up early. If I wanted to work out, I did it early. You know, studying. I planned out my studying. I was more regimented with everything. You know, I did what I had to do and managed it much better. That's what a student is supposed to do. You know, a student's supposed to learn. Learning is really, the onus is on you as a student to learn. You know, it's not about getting good grades. It's not about getting A's on everything. I mean, it's about learning. And, you know, if you do your due diligence, you'll do just fine. But I wasn't a student, man.
My question to you is, someone, you know, who's on their undergrad now, what would your suggestion be to make the most out of that experience and not take it for granted?
Okay, to not take it for granted, just remember that there's just thousands, there's millions of people out there that would kill to be in your position, right? I remember when I went to India a few years ago, this guy, we went to this, like, provisions market. This guy spoke like 12 languages, 15 languages. It was, like, ridiculous. And I'm like, man, you should go to school. And, you know, because whatever degree this guy gets, I mean, it was all those languages. He could be a success at anything. And she's like, I don't have the money. You know, I don't have the money to go to school. I have to work at the family market. And it was crazy. It was a sobering experience. Like, here I am squandering this opportunity, and this guy would kill for it. So you know, you should never forget that, man. Anybody who's an undergrad, never forget that there's a million people out there that would kill for your position. But also, like, just remember why you're there. You know, remember why you're there. You're an undergrad because of what? What is it that you want to do? I always tell my students, man, it's not a very popular opinion, but I feel like if they don't know exactly what they want to do, they shouldn't be in school. And I tell some of my students that, and it sounds ridiculous, but if you think about it, like, you have one life to live, and you're going to waste this time and this money on an education that you're not entirely sure you're passionate about. That's ridiculous. Make sure you're passionate about it, and if you're passionate about it, do what you got to do. Undergrad sucks, man. It really does. It's not the best part of education, in my opinion. Like, the best part is graduate school, when you kind of, like, hone in on what it is that you really love, and you get to get in the, you know, knee deep in all the fun stuff. Like undergraduate's just kind of this broad education where you got to take these general education courses and all this other shit, and it's not all that fun, especially if you're really passionate about something. But if you're an undergraduate, listen, you got to do it anyway. Find value in everything that you do, right? If you don't like, you have to take a statistics class, but you don't like statistics. Tough shit. You got to take it. Find value in it, because there is value in statistics. Make everything extremely personal, right? If you hate statistics, all right, what are the benefits of learning statistics? It's the ultimate bullshit detector, right? It's the ultimate bullshit detector. If somebody says something, right, you kind of use your analytical brain to say, well, this doesn't make sense based on the probability of this, that, and the other thing. If you hate chemistry, right, chemistry sucks. How can you make chemistry fun? Right? How can you make chemistry personal? Chemistry is personal, because without chemistry, there'd be no biochemistry. Without biochemistry, you wouldn't understand how the human body works. All right? Make everything personal. Everything is relative. As long as you remember that, you shouldn't have a hard time. But never forget it. Do you take any classes that you're just like, fuck, I don't want to take this?
All of them.
Like what? I don't think you should be in school, man.
You know what, Uncle Steve? I had a race gender class last semester, and going into it, I was not stoked on it. And at the end, I felt satisfied. I feel like I definitely educated myself a little bit. Definitely different things in the world that I just turn off that are out there. So at the end of that experience, I found the value in it. In the beginning, I was hemming and hawing, and maybe didn't have that mindset of, taking it personal and finding the value in it. But towards the end, I had found the value in that class and had appreciation for that class.
That's crazy, man. Man, perspective is everything. It really is. It really is. And would you say, like, leaving that class, were you more, I guess, open to things, or?
I was more.
Can you?
I was more open to things and more aware of the rights that I have that I maybe don't acknowledge or pay attention to because they don't come up in my everyday life. But being in the...
Can you give me an example?
Well, being in the class, especially in this day and age, there's a lot of people in gender transitions and stuff like that. And, they like to speak for their right of identifying of this or identifying as that. And I'm just a bro, Uncle Steve. That's what I identify as being a bro, right? But, I definitely started looking into the Constitution and amendments and speech protocols and realized, why we are in this kind of climate that we are today is because a lot of kids coming up that are going through this stuff are aware of their rights. And I realized when a lot of these kids started speaking that I had no idea what my rights were. And I was ignorant to that. So being in a class, in an atmosphere that it kind of made me realize, hey, you're being super, super ignorant to this. And all these people are talking circles around you, and you can't even talk in this class because you don't even know what your rights are.
Interesting. That's awesome. I mean, it was a valuable experience then.
100%, and just made me more aware of the climate of today is way different than when I graduated high school, over 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it's getting it's changing as we speak, and I mean changing radically as we speak. That's another conversation for another day, isn't it? But yeah, man, that's awesome. But that's cool that you went into a class kind of not necessarily interested in, right? And it ended up being a great learning experience. And I think every class has the opportunity to provide that for you. Every single class. But it's just about your mindset, man. If you're going to go in hooting and hollering and you're going to resist what the class has to offer, then you're not going to learn anything. It's just going to be a miserable fucking experience. And at the end of the day, you have nobody to blame but yourself, And, miserable people make people miserable, right?
100%.
Like, why do you want to be a miserable cunt? Like, be cool, Like, be fucking cool. That's rule number one. Be fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
you don't like it.
When I went